A general is trapped. Tens of thousands of men surround him. Outside those walls, an even larger force is marching in to finish him. This is Julius Caesar. He is about to fight two armies at once. Most commanders would surrender. Caesar chose something no one expected. The year is 52 BC. Gaul is burning with rebellion against Rome. A young chieftain named Vercingetorix has united the tribes for the first time. He has studied Rome's tactics. He refuses to meet Caesar in open battle. Instead, he burns his own people's crops. He starves the Romans on purpose. It is a brutal strategy. It is also brilliant. Caesar chases him across Gaul, losing men, losing time, losing patience. Then Vercingetorix makes a fateful choice. He retreats to a hilltop fortress called Alesia. He believes its natural walls will protect his army forever. He is wrong. Caesar arrives and does something insane. He orders his men to build a wall around the entire fortress. Not just any wall, a siege line stretching for miles. Ancient sources, mainly Caesar's own writings, claim tens of thousands of Gauls were sealed inside Alesia. Modern historians treat these numbers with caution. Roman accounts often inflated enemy strength to magnify the victory. What is certain is this: a large defending force was now cut off from food, from hope, from escape. For weeks, Caesar's plan works. Alesia begins to starve. Then scouts bring terrifying news. A relief army is marching toward them. This new force is not one tribe. It is a coalition gathered from across Gaul. Tribal councils sent word in every direction, calling in old oaths of loyalty. Chiefs like Commius of the Atrebates and warriors from the Aedui and the Arverni answer the call. They come for one reason: if Vercingetorix falls, all of Gaul falls with him. Caesar's own account claims a staggering number of warriors answered that call. Historians today believe the true size was likely far smaller, though still large enough to threaten disaster. Whatever the number, one fact remains undisputed. Caesar was now trapped between two enemies, front and back. His own men begin to whisper. Some fear this siege will become their grave. Caesar refuses to retreat. Instead, he gives an order that sounds like madness. Build a second wall, facing outward this time. One wall to keep Vercingetorix locked inside. One wall to keep the relief force out. It is one of the boldest engineering feats in ancient warfare. This is not just defense. It is Roman military doctrine at its most ruthless. Every legion has its assigned section. Every soldier knows his exact task. Towers rise every few hundred feet, giving archers clear lines across the field. Hidden traps litter the ground in front of both walls. Sharpened stakes disguised as harmless branches. Pits lined with fire-hardened points. Iron hooks buried just beneath the soil, waiting to tear into charging horses. Roman soldiers call one trap lilies, another stimuli. Even the names carry dark humor born of exhaustion. Caesar is not simply holding a line. He is turning the landscape itself into a weapon. Inside Alesia, the suffering grows unbearable. Food runs out completely. Desperate leaders make a horrifying decision. They expel the elderly, the women, the children. They hope Caesar will let the helpless pass through the lines to safety. He does not. He cannot risk his own siege collapsing from within. The innocent are left stranded between two armies, starving in the open ground. Historians still debate exactly how this moment unfolded and how many suffered. What is certain is this: nothing about this siege will be remembered as merciful. Then, at last, the relief army arrives at the outer wall. Wave after wave of Gallic warriors surge towards Caesar's fortifications. The ground shakes. War horns echo across the valley. Caesar's legions, already exhausted, now face an enemy far greater in number. But Rome does not fight with numbers alone. It fights with discipline. Every Roman cohort holds its formation under pressure that would break untrained men. Officers relay signals down the line, adjusting defenses in real time as the attack shifts. Arrows fill the sky. Ladders slam against timber walls. Roman soldiers fight on two fronts, some facing outward, some watching the fortress behind them. Inside Alesia, Vercingetorix hears the battle and prepares his own assault from within. If both attacks strike at once, Rome's thin lines could shatter completely. For a moment, Caesar's daring plan seems ready to collapse under its own weight. But the massive relief force struggles with a problem Rome does not have. So many tribes, so many commanders, and no single voice to unite them. Communication across the chaotic battlefield proves nearly impossible for the Gauls. Caesar's men, by contrast, answer to one command, one strategy, one will. Days pass. The assaults continue. Rome's walls bend, but they do not break. Then comes the moment that decides everything. A final, desperate night assault begins under cover of darkness. Gallic warriors try to overwhelm a weak point in the Roman fortifications. Caesar himself rides into the chaos, wearing his signature scarlet cloak so his men can see him. His presence alone steadies terrified soldiers on the verge of breaking. He personally leads reinforcements to the collapsing section of the wall. Then he executes the maneuver Rome had trained for. Cavalry, held back in reserve, strikes the attackers from behind. It is textbook Roman warfare. Absorb the assault, locate the breaking point, and counter it with force held in reserve. The surprise counterattack shatters the momentum of the assault completely. Panic spreads through the Gallic ranks. Their formation collapses into chaos. The relief army, seeing defeat unfolding, begins to retreat and scatter. Inside Alesia, Vercingetorix watches his last hope of rescue disappear. There will be no second chance. No other army is coming. Starvation, exhaustion, and despair have finally broken the will of the fortress. The next day, Vercingetorix makes his decision. He rides out of Alesia in his finest armor, ready to face Caesar directly. According to ancient accounts, he throws down his weapons at Caesar's feet. Some ancient writers describe him kneeling, others simply describe his surrender. Either way, it is a moment loaded with symbolism. Defiance ending in total surrender. Caesar has won. But look closely, and the victory feels strangely quiet. There is no triumphant cheer here, only exhausted men staring at what they survived. Vercingetorix would be taken to Rome, imprisoned for years, and finally executed to mark Caesar's triumph. He never saw Gaul free again. He never saw his people again. And yet, centuries later, France would raise his statue as a symbol of a people who once dared to stand together. Caesar's wall, built only to save his own men, became the wall history remembers him by. Two armies, one impossible position, one decision that changed the ancient world. Somewhere in that mud, a free Gaul died so that an empire could live. This is how an army once considered, doomed became one of history's most unforgettable victories.